Welcome to the Discovery Within podcast, where we explore the depths of self discovery and personal growth. I'm your host, Tiarra Denise.
And I'm your co host, LJ the Peacemaker. And we're so excited to welcome you to episode 23 of the Discovery Within podcast, where we'll be talking about what true abundance looks like. And I mean, this is such an important topic, as are they all. I always feel redundant when I say that part. But it's like, it's such an important topic because we have so many misconceptions of what abundance truly is, and, always attributing it to monetary things or material things. And that's really just one aspect of abundance. And I mean, you and I, Tiara, are living the abundant life. So we've got lots to say about it. So, what does abundance look like to you?
Yes. So before we even dive into it, that's a question like you do want to ask yourself, like, what is abundance like truly to me? Because I feel like been programmed to think that abundance is just having a lot of things, abundance of material things outside of ourselves. But as you go on in your life journey, you tend to learn, what true abundance is to you. And I feel like the conversation is a good one, especially with the season that we're in. It's the holidays time. People spending money, they're sharing gifts, and it's a time where honestly, for me, I see a lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves to, make sure that their kids have, their gifts and their loved ones get gifts. And, the thing of abundance comes up because sometimes when we look around and this Christmas may not be better than the last Christmas, we look at that and think that somehow we lack something, or there's scarcity of things. So I feel like times like this definitely expose where abundance really lies at. And for me, I can honestly say I've been living this abundance journey for about 2.5 years now. I don't even know where in my journey where my mind shifted to even want to, adopt this abundance mindset, because for me, abundance is truly a mindset. It's a state of being. And, I've been on this journey for about 2.5 years. Can't even remember what sparked it, what made me want to get on it. All I know is for me, when I wanted to, just better myself and discover myself more, I wanted to be more abundant, because for me, I would be someone that, the world would say came from the bottom. I know what it is to struggle, the people that got it out the mud. I come from that. So, learning from my childhood on up until what true abundance really meant for me. Because like growing up, there were times where we didn't know where our next meal was coming from. The lights may have went off, didn't have the money to pay the light bill, didn't have water running in the house or something like that. And then growing up, it's like this wave and this energy of like, sadness and destitute almost. And then you're thinking like, is this what life really is? Navigating that as a child, just seeing that word, just seeing your parents struggle. And then you would think that that's like the norm. Like this is what's really going on. Like as a child, having to witness the frustration and the stress that your parents go through just to even keep a roof over your head, and just seeing how the different times like things may have changed. Because I remember when I was a kid, I remember certain Christmases. There's this one Christmas I remember from my childhood where we had an abundance of gifts under the tree. We even had a Christmas party that Christmas. So that's one of the most pivotal moments in my life as a child, just remembering that in itself. And then I remember times where we didn't have that big Christmas like we once had. And so it, kind of had me the wheels turning in my head as a child, like, what's going on here? Why my Christmas ain't nothing like it was last year? We had plenty of things. We had plenty of food. We had plenty of people, but it's like this year there's something different. And I feel like for me, like now that I'm adult looking back at that, that was a time where I tied my abundance to a plethora of things, like an abundance of material things. And that's where my first definition of abundance, came about, is having a lot of things, like just seeing the certain things that, you saw growing up as a child. But then, looking back from like my childhood into my adulthood now, I realized just how abundant I truly was. Because, although we went, through the struggle, I can never say there wasn't a day that I didn't have a roof over my head. There wasn't a day I did not eat, whether it was a full course meal, or it was just a pack of noodles. There hasn't been a day that I couldn't say that I didn't eat. I wasn't warm. I didn't have clothes on my back. I didn't have transportation to get to and from where I needed to be. So when I started looking at those things, I realized, dang man, I was quite ungrateful. And as a child, you don't know that, because you only know, what you see, what's been programmed inside of your psyche, what's being pushed onto you, and what's being taught to you. But as an adult, I look back and I realize just how much I've been abundant my whole life. And I'll stop right there, because I'll probably, continue some more with that. But I'd love to hear like your take on what abundance is to you.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. I was thoroughly enjoying it because, I too, I understand the struggle that like our parents went through. I understand what it's like coming from the bottom, so to speak. And I know for myself, I embarked on this journey intentionally to um break lack off of my life, because I was like, this don't make sense to me. My parents were slaving. I'm slaving. I watched my grandparents slaving away for what? To have what? We did not. I mean, granted, we had abundance, but not by the world's standards. And at that time, that was what my perception of abundance was. So it's like, okay, you're slaving away to put a roof over your head and to have basic needs, and then you die. Like, I know that's not God's plan or God's will. So for me, it was like God said he would provide all our needs. Like, what's going on here? I gotta figure this out. I gotta figure it out, because I'm not going to give my life to what I've been shown when it don't work for me. It's literally, taking a toll on my health, and I feel like it's gonna kill me. So ultimately, I've been on this quest to eradicate the poverty from myself, and I recognize that it began with my mind. And so that goes back to something that you were saying, that abundance is a state of mind. I think initially we think that abundance is only about having a wide assortment of material possessions, but ultimately, the way that we're perceiving abundance actually facilitates lack in our lives, because we keep focusing on, oh, I don't have $1 million. When if you had the rent money, you're blessed. Like, if you had enough for food, you're blessed. All is well. And so I think that we need to really focus on, the opposite of lack is actually not abundance, it's enough. Knowing that you have enough, knowing that you have just what you need to make it through the day, knowing that you have enough to do whatever it is that's right in front of you. And I think that that's one of the key steps in getting to abundance, is coming to this place of realizing that you have enough. You are enough, and learning to be content in that space, because you will never get to true abundance if you're not able to be content right now with who you are, with what you have, with what's right in front of you, with what's been entrusted to you. And so for me, what abundance really is this ceaseless provision. It's like recognizing that life brings us problems, brings us challenges, brings us different circumstances, but as the circumstance arises, then the answer comes. As the need shows itself, then the whatever you need comes. You know what I mean? And that's what abundance is. It's almost like, the person walking down the street, and every light they get to, it turns green. It's like, that's what abundance is. It's not lugging around all these bags and carrying all this stuff, because ultimately the material possessions that we have, we form these attachments to them. We have to manage and maintain those things. So ultimately that stuff is weighing on your back. You know what I mean? It's a heavy burden to have to maintain and sustain many things. And I really don't believe that to be abundance. Abundance is being free, knowing, okay, I can go here, I can do this. If anything happens, I know I don't have to worry because it'll get figured out. Everything's going to be all right. Today, I'm comfortable. Tomorrow, whatever may come, I know that whatever I need is going to, the need is going to be met. And that's really what abundance is. It truly is this state of mind of peace, of knowing that all is well, that you're not missing anything, nothing is lacking from you, even though you don't know what you're going to need next, but you don't got to worry about it, because as you need it, then it arises, it comes to you, you know. And I mean, there's so much more that I can say, but I must stop there to just to hear your feedback, and you know, how what other aspects of your story you wanted to share as well.
Oh, I'm gonna get back into some of my story, but I did want to highlight that you did bring up a very important part about, just the emotional and the mental stress that comes with, focusing on the lack thereof of things that we feel like we're missing in our lives. And just to bring it back to the whole Christmas thing, how, for me, witnessing my parents, around the holidays time, especially the times when they didn't have the money to get us the things that we wanted, and how it just put like them in this funk. And I'm like, looking back now, like now that I'm at where I'm at in my life, I'm like, why? Why did you guys put that mental and emotional stress on yourselves? Like, why did you put that burden on yourself to fix something that you couldn't really sustain? And it's like we do that because we get attached, like you said, to those outside things. We thinking, oh, we getting this, we got all this stuff that, I guess there's some type of fulfillment. But for me, I don't know about you, as a child, when I would get gifts, like I had this one aunt. Now, people in the family say she's a cheap aunt, and and stuff like that. Because she did have a lot of things, but I say she was frugal, but the family would say she's cheap. But the gifts that she would get things like socks. She get the gloves, the cute hats that go along with it, and things like that. And to me, those were some of the best gifts. I felt like she actually gave the best gifts because it was things that we needed. And for me, it was more so the thought that it's the thought that counts instead of spending our money on like the highest things, but just looking at things like that really shaped my mindset around what abundance truly meant for me. Because while everybody else may have been talking about that auntie, I was actually grateful for her. And just coming from such humble beginnings, and not having a lot of resources and things like that, it taught me what true abundance is. And also, instead of focusing on what we don't have, we can focus on what do I have. And like that's why I can say, like, honest, I'm grateful for going through the struggle. I'm grateful that I started from the bottom. I came, it wasn't easy for us because it taught me how to work with what I got. And working what you got with what you have, you can create more. And that, I feel like that says a lot, for you to create something out of nothing. And so now, to transition at my big age now, I just live my life to, it's like you said, you don't know what you may need tomorrow, but as things come about, everything that you need is going to be presented to you. Because I can honestly say, within these 2.5 years that I've been walking this abundance journey, shifting my mindset, there is, you're gonna get like tests like crazy. It's like I'm speaking this abundance, mindset, I'm embodying it, I'm changing up my words and things like that. And it's like, okay, now you have to actually show that you're about the things that you say that you're about. You made the mindset shift. So now things outside of you and your universe start to happen to, kind of test and see where you're at with that. Because I remember a time where I was trying to figure things out. I had just had my son. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just know I need to get away from my hometown. And I remember my sister and her wife opening up, for their doors for me. And for me, at that moment in my life, I just felt like I was lost. I didn't have a clue, no sense of direction or anything. But the fact that I had two people willing to open up their space to me and allow me time to get my mind right and get clear and get, focused and figure out what I wanted to do for myself. That showed me what abundance is. Like I could at that time, I probably would have been like, well, I don't have this, I don't have the finances, I don't have this, I don't have that, instead of realizing what all I did have. I did have a home. I didn't have to worry about those things. I did have that space. I had an abundance of quiet time for just Tiarra and her son, just to focus on myself and my child at that moment. So I think sometimes when we focus too much on the outside, we neglect what is already right there in the present moment. I had my son. Anything that he needed as far as his food, clothing, it was there. So there wasn't no need for me to put extra burdens on myself and worrying about, okay, well, what about this? Did we have what we needed today? And then I think about the abundance of space and time that I had to just be, because at that time in my life when I was staying with my sister and her wife, I just felt so out of it. I felt like I had nothing else to give. I was going through like deep healing and transformation at that time, but they provided that space for me. I've always wanted that space to just get away and just sit with myself, my thoughts, my feelings, and actually get that healing. So I think about, things like that. You always have an abundance of something. You're never really lacking anything unless you put focus on the things that you think are so-called missing in your life. And then that's where I think like the ungratefulness comes about, because we're so focused on, well, I got this, but I could, I need this too. And we don't even cultivate what we have, and we just turn the eye to it as if it's nothing. And I just think that's one of the parts about this path of abundance that people don't really look at. It's like when you actually start to live it, there are going to be things that test you to see, like, okay, let's see if we're really about this abundance thing. And then that helps you to probably redefine what you see as abundance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's very, very true. I mean, I've come to learn that really accepting abundance is a process. It's like we can say out of our mouth we want abundance, we can think we want abundance, but we're not even ready to receive it because we are so caught up in, in what we don't have a lot of the time that we're blocking good things from coming towards us. And when I say that, I mean that if I'm like, man, I wish I have, say I have a job and I'm like, I wish I had a better job. Say I have a house. Oh, but their house is nicer. Say I got these clothes. Oh, but they got nicer ones than me. It's like there's no appreciation for anything that you have. So you're facilitating lack in your life. You have a mindset that's telling you everywhere you look, something's missing. And ultimately, we're alive. So the spirit of life, God's presence, lives in us. Like that is the abundance. There's nothing more abundant. So ultimately, it's like us not realizing that is perpetuating some kind of lack in our lives. It's making us think that we're not complete. Therefore, we got to fill ourselves with something. And we be choosing all types of things. And so now what I'm learning is I am the abundance. It doesn't matter what happens outside of me. I can still hold my head high. I can still know that God is with me. I can still know that I am loving myself, being kind to myself. I'm walking my walk. And these are things that nobody or nothing can take away from you, and that you realize are the true abundance. It's like nothing's gonna come rock my world. Granted, maybe something may come shake me up for a little while, but at the end of the day, knowing who I am, learning to be grateful for the things that are around me, learning to recognize that I have everything I need, it helps me to acknowledge, oh, this is what abundance is. It's not about the stuff, because that stuff could break. You know what I mean? Things happen to stuff all the time. But knowing who you are and being able to walk with your head held high and have a sense of security in yourself and live in your truth and in freedom, is truly what abundance is all about, because then you realize, oh, I'm the thing I need. Everything I need is within me. You know, if there's a problem or something breaks, I have ideas in my mind. I have creativity. I'm connected to the source. I can think of an answer. I could pray and the answer could come to me. The universe can provide it. So it's like you're not, it releases you from this fear of running out of something. You're not, you know, I'm connected. I'm not gonna run out. No matter what it is. I'm not gonna run out of money. I'm not gonna run out of food. I'm not, it might get low sometime, but I'm not never gonna run out, because when I need more, more is gonna come. You know, and being content with what does come, because then that facilitates more coming. You know, an attitude of gratitude brings abundance to you. That's how you become an abundance magnet,
Mm-hmm.
because nothing is attracted to something that's grouchy, always complaining. Like, we don't, as people, we don't want to be around people who are always complaining, who don't appreciate. You do something for someone, they don't appreciate it, you like, I'm never doing that for them again. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with our blessings, with the things that are attracted to us. If we're not grateful for what we already have, why would more be drawn to us? You know, so us really recognizing that we are the source of our own abundance. And I mean, granted, God is the source of all things, but our mindset, our perspective, what we're perceiving to truly be abundance is what will draw the abundance to us. You know, and really recognizing what really matters. Having peace is one of the ultimate aspects of abundance, because if you've got peace, then you're abundant in every moment. You know what I mean? Because you don't feel like you're missing nothing. No matter what's going on, you're chilling. That's abundance. You know, and really knowing the true things that matter. Because at the end of the day, when you are seeking abundance and working towards, you know, getting into this mindset of abundance, typically a lot of the things that you may have been perceiving as necessary in life begin to fall away. They begin to crumble. And you used to think you needed that thing. And it gets kind of scary sometimes, but it shows you that you didn't need that. That, look, you thought you would have died without that, or you don't know how you would have reacted if that was taken away from you. And as we seek abundance, some of these things that are blocking our truth, which is that we are the abundance and that we're directly connected to the source of all things, some of those things begin to fall away, to show you that you don't need that. Your identity, your self-worth is not wrapped up in that. Let it go. You know, and as you were mentioning the holidays, that was something that comes to mind as well, because I know as parents, when you're not able to provide certain things for your children, you know, it can make you feel a way about yourself. It can make you feel down, less than, like you're not good enough, or like you're not doing something you're supposed to be doing. And so, you know, all of that has to do with this lack of perspective. And I think that society as a whole is like impacting us, and pressing down those feelings on us as well. And then we take them on and then we keep pressing it on ourselves. But, you know, ultimately recognizing that your self worth and who you truly are is not wrapped up in any material thing. You're still the same person. You're still connected to the source. Whether you could buy one gift, no gift, or 100 gifts, you're still the same person. And so, as we embrace abundance, you really come to recognize that that doesn't matter if I bought anybody a gift or not. It's like, am I loving people every day? Am I loving myself? Am I truly giving on a consistent basis? Like, what is it that you're actually giving all the time? You know what I mean? Because to give somebody a gift on one day and then the rest of the year your attitude sucks and you're negative and you're, you know what I mean? That's what you're giving. And so recognizing that we are abundant, we truly can consistently give. I mean, even as we show up here, we're giving. It's out of our heart. We could keep talking, I'm sure, for hours. You know what I mean? And it's like this ceaseless wow. It's not like it's a script or we're necessarily planning what we're going to say next, but really recognizing that we are connected. There's divine inspiration, there's divine provisions, and us being able to trust. So trusting that your needs will be met is really a part of this abundance too, stepping out of the scarcity and this lack perspective.
Absolutely. And when you pointed out, that inner abundance, because that's where true abundance, begins anyway. I think some of us underestimate that part of it. You know, that self-worth and already knowing that you're already whole, you're already abundant. Because when I look back on my life, I realized that I've been abundant my whole life, even in times of struggle. I realized just how abundant I was, and to be able to walk with your head held high, that says a lot. Because I remember a time, like, as a kid going through the struggle and looking at my mama. One thing I witnessed about her is she always kept a smile on her face. She was upbeat. Her energy was just always vibing high. And I remember asking her one time, I was like, Mama, why are you smiling so much? We don't have nothing. And I believe one of my other siblings had asked her the same thing. And then she, say things like, what that supposed to mean? None of that don't make me, that don't break me. And then that attitude, now that I'm an adult now and I'm living my own experiences, now it makes sense why she held her head up so high, because she wasn't focused on her circumstances. She wasn't focused on what she thought was lacking from us. Inside her heart, her mind, her spirit, she was rich and abundant in spirit. And so sometimes we think abundance is something that's tangible. It doesn't always have to be something that's tangible. She was just a woman that was genuinely happy inside. When we out and about, she's speaking to people, holding conversations and stuff. And I always looked at that and wondered about that. But that was a true representation to me on what abundance was. And like to this day, now I embody it. Because sometimes when we think about our stories and our life and like the things we've gone through, and we think, oh, it was so terrible, I went through all these things. And then sometimes you can look at a person and you can't even tell that they even went through a war or any type of battle, is because they were able to vibe high amidst all the chaos, amidst all the things that they thought they lacked. They didn't place their worth outside of them, and their worth wasn't based upon their material success, or the things that they had in their life. That their foundation was rooted inwards. So when your foundation is strong within, there's nothing that's outside of you that's going to make you feel like you're less than, or you're not enough, or where you're at currently in your life is not enough. Because I'm pretty sure we've all been there, those times. For me especially, when we was at our career, like owning a business, and we feel like, well, I should be farther than this. And no, you're at where you need to be at right now. And then that whole thing about being grateful, that's the key. That's the key to manifesting more abundance into your life in whatever shape or form you may want it to. But understanding, like, being grateful with where you're at, who you are, and all that you have within, and having that strong inner foundation really helps to bring in that abundance. And that's the key aspect that a lot of people don't think about. Because now that I'm in that state where I'm practicing gratitude every day, because every day is a moment for you to wake up and practice and express your gratitude. When you wake up, like you said, life itself, the breath in your body, is that not abundance? To still be here, to be live and amongst other beings, you're still here. Is that not abundance in itself? To have your eyesight, to be able to see, touch your loved ones, talk to your loved ones, your limbs and stuff working, is that not abundance? You see how when we focus on all the outside things, we forget all that we do have. And it's important for us to make gratitude everyday practice, because it's so easy for us to truly forget just how abundant that we truly already are, regardless of where we think we should be and whatnot. So for me, when I wake up in the morning, of course I'm going to say what I'm grateful for, because I made it through the night. I'm still here. I wake up, my child's still breathing. We're warm. It's cold out. I'm not a fan of winter, but I've been warm. I have shelter over my head. And I think about those things like that, because there was times where, I didn't have a dime in my pocket. And I would sit there and I would wonder, like, man, how am I going to eat today? How's my child going to be able to get what my child needs? And I'll have all that I need for us right there that day and in that moment, but I'd be so focused on tomorrow that I can't even see just how blessed and, abundant that I already am. And so once I started to shift that focus and stop worrying about tomorrow and if I'm gonna have what I need tomorrow, do I have everything that I need right now? Do I have what I need right now in this moment today? And when I shifted that, once I got to tomorrow, and tomorrow's not promised, everything worked out. Everything that I've ever needed, I didn't even have to ask. I just shifted that focus on from thinking about, oh, what do I need? What's next? This, that I honed in on that present moment and looked around and counted my blessings. And they say count your blessings. Count your blessings every day. Every day. I don't care if it's so repetitive. Like I say, I'm grateful for the same things. We'll be grateful for it. Because there may be someone who doesn't have a fraction of the things that you have. And don't make everything, you know, determined upon the things that you gain material wise. How do you feel? Do you have the support? Because you got to think about things like that. Abundance is not just something that's tangible. I look around, I look at the abundance of love and support from the people that truly connect with me, people that truly root for me, that want to see me doing great, people that invest in me. I think about those things. Do you have an abundance of that? And then I also not only just look at like my outside reflection of the abundance and love and support that I have from others. I make sure that I'm looking in the mirror every day. I make sure I'm going internal to make sure that love is already within me, because in order for you to truly know and experience abundance, you must experience it within yourself first. Because if you don't experience it in here and in here, you won't ever see it outside of yourself. You won't know what it feels like. But you got to understand that it starts from within. And so that's my spiel right there. I'll let you come back in.
Yes, absolutely. So when you were speaking, it's like the scripture that says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all else will be added," was coming to mind. And I've always equated that scripture to abundance, and I feel like that's a popular scripture. I'm sure we've all heard it. But ultimately, I believe that to be about abundance. It's a directive. You want all these things. This is how you get it. Seek first the kingdom of God. And it's like, so what does that even mean? Um, but there's another scripture that says where Jesus was saying that the kingdom of God is within us. And it's like, that's what we're supposed to be seeking. What's in us. We don't know what's in us. We are the abundance. Like, we look at what other people have. How do you think they got it? They did. They used what was in them. You know what I mean? So this is an inside job. It's an inside game. And it's really about recognizing that, granted, life, you may want certain things for comfort and things like that, but none of those make you. Like your mother said, it didn't make you and it can't break you. And it's all dependent on how you're looking at it, because it can break you if you let it. If you
Mm-hmm.
think that makes you who you are, really recognizing that we're connected to the source, that this journey is about us seeking inside and recognizing that everything that we will ever need is already present within us, and that we have to tap into this present moment, because that's where God exists. God is here and now. And then at the next second, when it's now, it's now. You know what I mean? And so us learning, excuse me. Ooh, let me take a sip of my drink.
Please.
But us really learning to be present, to be here, to be now. That now is all we really have, and that now is all that really matters. And as we're able to be that present, we begin to realize, oh, I'm okay. You know what I mean? I'm alive, I'm breathing, I'm warm, I got a house to live in, I have food, nothing is missing. I feel okay right now, because a lot of times the feelings of lack, the fears that we face, and things like that are off in the distance somewhere. We're letting our mind drift to another place in time that most likely hasn't even come yet. But as we stay right here and right now, we do realize that we are blessed, that everything is okay. And the thing is, too, acknowledging the abundance of blessings that are constantly pouring into our lives. Because as you mentioned, counting your blessings. And it's like we look at, abundance as financial, material, things of that nature, but not realizing that every day many blessings are being bestowed upon you. That person that held the door for you, that's a blessing. Because they could have tried to rob you. Like, you know what I mean? You really don't know. And that sounds like an extreme example, but that's actually a possibility. That could have happened. You know what I mean? The fact that you made it home safely from when you went out into the world, that is a blessing. The fact that you had enough money to meet your needs, these things are all blessings. And so as we begin to look at things from that aspect, it's like, wait a second, there's an abundance of blessings around me all the time. But it's only through the practice of gratitude and the practice of counting your blessings that you even come to recognize that you are already abundant. Because if you're sitting around looking at everything that you think is missing, first of all, that's coming from a distorted perspective, because that's inaccurate. That all these things are missing. It's like, come on, everything's missing. Who said you were supposed to have that? That's some idea you made up in your mind that you have to have this thing to be abundant or to, feel abundant. But at the end of the day, we are all blessed. There's so many blessings. The person that showed you kindness, the encouraging word that came to you just when you needed it, that idea that came to you when you didn't know what you were going to do. These things are all blessings. So recognizing that the blessings that are coming towards us are ceaseless. They're constantly pouring into us. And so it's for us to literally, not figuratively, count our blessings, like actually count them. Start looking around and recognize everything that comes to you that you didn't do of your own accord is a blessing. And you are being abundantly blessed every day. So be grateful for it, because that's how you attract more blessings. It's a perspective, a mindset. And, really recognizing that the presence of the source of all creation is with you. You know what I mean? So why not receive all the blessings that there are to have? Because that's one of the things that I constantly am retraining my mind to recognize, that God's presence is with me. God goes with me everywhere I go. God's blessings go with me everywhere I go. And really consistently repeating these things to myself so that I believe them. Because it's only through the practice and the repetition that we actually begin to believe things, and that we change our mindset in certain areas. And so starting by just simply counting your blessings is one of the simplest and best ways to really begin to tap into abundance and recognizing how blessed you truly already are.
Yes. And I want to say with that, like you mentioned, like that faith and trust, it goes hand in hand, when it comes to your abundance, because sometimes we want to wheel things in on our own time, or we feel like things should be coming in faster for us. We need to have it right then and right now. But sometimes we don't think about the divine timing, the things that we think we need that didn't come into our life, or we couldn't get them. Maybe it wasn't in divine timing. So you got to think about that and trusting that what's meant for you is going to come when it needs to come. Because sometimes, like, we get so caught up into looking outside of ourselves, and it comes from this space of lack. And then, that scarcity mindset of that we're going to run out of something, or we got to be secure. So we consume a lot, and we take a lot of things in, and we don't really see just how abundant we already are, and what we have right now is enough. Like that saying, like, less is more. That's a true statement, and I feel like it really ties into abundance, because you will see that the less that you have, and not just tangible material things, the less stress, the less emotional and mental burdens and blockages, because you got to think about those limited beliefs. The less you have of those, the more that abundance can pour in, because sometimes we can't even access the abundance that we want because of the blockages that we have within. We have these mental blockages. We have these blockages on our heart when we're, thinking about certain things that may have happened to us in the past, or going back to a time where, it was really rough on us. And I think, like, for people, especially like me, that came from the struggle, that's a tough one to navigate, because we've been in it so long. It's like this mental and emotional cycle that we've been in so long that we don't know anything outside of it. And so for years we steady live in that lack and that scarcity mindset, because look at the economy. We turn on the news and all this stuff is going on, and that keeps us in that space. Whereas someone who doesn't really focus on the outside noise, focuses on, what do I have right now? Am I taken care of today? Did I get everything done that I needed to get done? Is my family good? Is everybody healthy? When we stop focusing on the outside noise and the outside material things and what we think things should be, we can, and focus on what's right here, we can turn inward and be more present and really sit there and be like, you know what? I got it made. I'm already abundant. All the things that I was looking for outside of myself, I already had direct access to it. Just think about it. The people who are looking for love and, think, oh, there's nobody out here. There's no more good people out here. What about you?
Right.
Did you look in the mirror? Maybe sometimes the thing that we think we're lacking is just something that's pointing towards something that we need to work on within us. Because if you feel like there's a lack of love out there, or in your love life, maybe that's pointing to something within you. Maybe that's shining light on, you need to have a little more self-love for yourself. And maybe this is just not the time for you to have, a romantic partner. We think about, things like this because abundance shows up in different areas in our life. But, like I said, focusing so much on the external that we don't even hone on and cultivate what's going on the inside. And we neglect to see that all we need and all that we're seeking is already here with us, is within us. That God energy, that is within all of us. So we don't have to look here, look there, and look outside of ourselves for these things that we seek. The abundance of love and support. Look at your foundation. Are you already abundant? Because it's like you're expecting more, but what are you doing to make sure that you bring in those things? Because we want, and we start to attach to a lot of things. Now we just got a lot of stuff, and that could be material, that could be a lot of stuff mentally, that could be a lot of stuff emotionally, and we're thinking that we're lacking whole time. We got an abundance of stuff, and it might be an abundance of things that we don't need, and that is hindering us from seeing all that we do have. And I just think about that in that sense of abundance, because I want to, shift from just thinking about the tangible things, the material things. Like, are you already abundant? Do you feel it? How do you feel when you wake up in the morning, when you look in the mirror, regardless of what's going on in your life, where you're at? When you tackle your day, when certain challenges come up to you and you handle them head on, how are you feeling throughout the day? How are you feeling about your life as you navigate these things? What's your true definition of abundance? And, as we talk about this, I really want, like, the people that are looking at this to really define what abundance is to you. And where did you get your original definition of abundance? And do you still look at it from that same perspective to this day? Because my definition was shaped by my environment, me coming up. But now that I'm an adult and I'm on my own self discovery journey, now I look in the mirror, now I go within, I see, man, it was me this whole time. All the material, all the struggle and everything that I went through, the things that I thought I lacked, the things that I was working towards, it all led back to me. And the things that I thought I needed to attach myself to outside of myself, no matter what it was, whether it was abundance of material or it was another person, those things I was looking for within myself this whole time. And it's gonna be quite a journey when you go on it, because you're gonna still meet more and more parts of yourself, because you're an expansive being. But you wouldn't know that unless you go within and you get that experience for yourself. and you learn how to redefine what things mean to you. So instead of going based off someone else's definition of abundance, ask yourself, what is abundance to me?
Yes, absolutely. I think that that's such a key point, us really beginning to define abundance for ourselves. And, even if it is about material things, really identifying that, getting clear to see where you're at, because you can't plot a course to where you want to go if you're not clear on where you're at right now. Life is also too this process of reaping and sowing. That's what manifesting is all about. You're planting seeds to grow a certain harvest, to have the things that you desire out of life. And I think that it's important for us to recognize that we have unlimited access to seeds. So we ourselves are unlimited potential. We're an abundance of potential. Our words, our seeds that we're sowing out into the world, our time, our energy, our thoughts, the actions that we take, these things are all seeds that we're going to reap a harvest from. You know what I mean? So it's up to us to recognize that you're not lacking nothing. You got all the things it takes to create whatever it is that you desire. You are the abundance. But really being able to embrace also that it's a process. Life is a process. You know what I mean? When a child is conceived, they don't just poof, they're born that day. No, it's a process. Things have to grow into, their into the appointed time that they're ready to be birthed. And so we have to accept that, because I think a lot of times it becomes difficult for us to recognize how truly abundant we are, because we have some other idea in mind. And then the things that we are trying to pursue, they don't appear before our eyes instantaneously. And it's like, no, you're headed there. You're headed towards it. It's headed towards you. And at the appointed time, it will become visible. But really recognizing that we also have an abundance of fortitude. Like, you're unstoppable. You can keep going. That's one of the things that I constantly am reprogramming my mind around. Like, nothing can stop me. Nothing. And I'm not going to stop telling myself that, because that helps me to recognize how truly abundant I am. That nothing can stop you. You can get up every day and try again. Oh, today sucked. Go to sleep and get up tomorrow. Try again. Oh, today hurt. Get up tomorrow and try again. And recognizing that this is the abundance that you have within you, something that cannot be stopped. It's for you to direct it within yourself, determine what you want, begin to pursue that, begin to utilize all of the tools, all of the valuable assets that you have within you: your time, your energy, your words, your focus, your attention, your intention. All of these things, they too are within you in abundance. You have an abundance of attention. You know what I mean? Like, your attention is never stops. That's why we got to rein it in sometimes to focus it, because it can be all over the place. But really recognizing that these building blocks, so to speak, that will enable you to create whatever you desire and to draw to you and to manifest whatever it is that you desire are all within you. And so recognizing that, granted, certain things may take a long time, but with regards to our needs being met, as you believe, so shall it be unto you. I could wake up each day and say, I'm taking care of every day. If I say that every day, then that takes care of me every day. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I say I'm taking care of every day, then today I can have peace. When I get up tomorrow, I say it again, I can have peace. But if I'm saying, what am I going to do tomorrow? Then that messes up my every tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like that too in itself is abundance of whatever, which one you're saying. Because you could either have an abundance of the certainty that you're taking care of every day, or you can have an abundance of the fear of worrying about tomorrow. Tomorrow will always have cares of its own, and it's up to us to not let tomorrow and too many thoughts of tomorrow steal the abundance that's in front of us right now in this present moment. Because we are here and now, and everything that is truly real, meaning the things that are of the spirit of life itself are ever present in the present moment. You know what I mean? They're not in tomorrow because tomorrow doesn't exist. It's now.
Mm-hmm.
So recognizing that yes, your creativity, your energy, your focus, your words, all this you have full complete control of right now. And these are what will enable you to ensure that your tomorrow is good. And it's not about, overworking yourself or stressing yourself out, because that all comes from a lack perspective. That
Mm-hmm.
all comes from you feeling like something's missing and you got to do something to make it right. Really recognizing that you got it all right now. You are
Mm-hmm.
complete. Whatever you got to figure out, the answer is going to come to you. And sometimes we really have to just be still in the moment and accept, okay, I'm all right. I don't know what I'm going to do, but the answer is going to come to me. And accepting that in and of itself is part of the abundance, because the answer exists. Whatever you're looking for, the answer exists. So I mean, if there's millions of thoughts and ideas and answers floating around in the universe, it may take a little while for it to come specifically to you, but recognize that you're drawing it to you as you trust, as you rest in the truth that everything is taken care of, that you are abundant, and that every day your needs will be provided for. So it's like it's really about training our mindset to recognize we are not these things. The material possessions that you may desire, the money that you have or don't have, you are not those things. And you will never be those things. And if you put your identity and your self worth and wrap them up too much in those things, when those things come and go, you will feel like nothing. And meanwhile, you're everything. You are the abundance. It's like that's really, I guess, the main point that I want to
Mm-hmm.
drive home is that you are the abundance. You're
Yeah.
it's not out there. It's in here. It's you.
Yep. And just even with that, the abundance is waiting on you to recognize it. Well, that's why we have these conversations. The discovery within you. It's something that you have to discover for yourself. We can sit up here and say all day what it is, but you won't know it until you experience it for yourself, until you recognize it for yourself and know that you're already complete, you're already whole. And this whole thing about tomorrow, tomorrow is none of your business. Don't never underestimate the power of now, because we know that tomorrow isn't promised. So why go forward and think about something that's not even here, that doesn't even exist? Now you're putting more on yourself, and then this whole thing of having to do more. And I like that you had highlighted that, because for us wanting to do more and doing things to stay productive or to bring in things to get these tangible things, that comes from a place of lack. And being abundant doesn't always mean, oh, I gotta do more, I gotta be more, I gotta. That's not what that means. Even in stillness, that's abundance, because sometimes it takes for you to be still, and that means turning your mind off sometimes, turning off those thoughts, because your mind gonna keep going, but it's how you approach those things that come up. When one thought comes up of lack, how are we gonna reframe it and think of something that puts us in a space of abundance? It goes back to that conversation where you just reframe it. If you're thinking in lack, think something abundant. And it's like something that you do consistently, because when we most of us come from the struggle, most of us come from that lack mindset, or we're thinking, oh, I'm not gonna have this, and we talk about what if. Reframe that what if everything works out, instead of looking at things as, oh, it may not work out for me, because we're speaking from a place of lack. We're thinking that if it doesn't go in my favor, or it doesn't go in the way that I think it should, you know, that I'm lacking, or my sense of security is diminished, because we're looking outside of ourselves instead of speaking and knowing. When you speak it, you know it. We don't know how. We just trust that things unfold the way that they do, and allow things to come to us. But it's about looking in the mirror, looking at what do you have right now? What can I focus on right now? Because it's gonna be a daily practice. And you're gonna go back and forth with it. Because even to this day, I still have, I won't say I have battles, but I have my moments where I'm thinking from that lack mindset, but I understand where I am today. So, as we get ready to close, I want to encourage you to just look back at your life. And I don't care what type of life you live. Think back to those times where you thought things weren't going to work out and they did. And truly ask yourself, have I always been taken care of? Even in those moments where you felt like there wasn't abundance of support, there wasn't abundance of resources. Ask yourself, did things work out? And even the things we didn't think worked out for us, they worked out. Sometimes it's for our protection. You got to think about it. It's divine timing with things. So sometimes we see things how we want it to be. But in order to be in like this abundant state, you understand that there's many possibilities. There's not just one way. And the way that we think, that one way that we always like to cling to and think that, oh yeah, this is the way, this is the only way. When you're in that abundant state, you know that many ways are possible. Not just the way that you think things need to be done. So look at it from, that perspective and take inventory of your life today. Think about all those answered prayers, the things you prayed for and you got them. But it may not be going how you thought it was going to go, but did you get it? Are you truly grateful? Because when you live in a state of gratitude and gratitude actually becomes your attitude, you'll see just how abundant you are. Your mindset will begin to change. You'll think different thoughts. You'll speak different. You'll speak things as if they're already so. There wouldn't be any what else. Why? Because you shifted your focus from tomorrow. What we worry about tomorrow for if it's not promised? If it's not an emergency if it's not an emergency right now, then it doesn't need to be a burden on your mind. So this is like your chance to let go of the mental pressures, the emotional pressures that you put on yourself and look in that mirror and know that you are enough. It does not matter where you come from, where you currently are now in your life. It's up to you to discover these things about you. It's up to you to go within and see just who you are and know that you are already abundant. And that's my spiel. I'm gonna let you and take us.
Absolutely. I love it. I was listening intently. I'm like, yeah, she's talking to me.
I'm talking to you
These
too.
conversations feed my soul. It's like, you're sharing insights and I'm receiving them. And I know as I'm speaking, you're receiving it as well, because we all need to constantly be reminded of these things and to have life spoken of, into us and over us. So I definitely appreciate those words. But with regards to like speaking life, it's up to you to speak life into yourself. We each have to take ownership of that and recognize that the areas, I'm sorry, one second. I'm sorry about that.
You're
Um,
good.
so, it's really up to us to take a current inventory of where we're at, of what things that we're currently telling ourselves, some of the things that are causing the most stress and strain in us at the present moment, and really begin to reframe our perspective around those, because ultimately, us are feeling like something's missing or perceiving lack in our lives is coming from the way that we're looking at things, and we can immediately begin to reframe them so we feel abundance. And just as the example as I was given before about, I'm taking care of every day. When you say something like that and you really just give yourself a moment to feel it, you can feel joy. You can feel peace coming from within you. So within us is this ceaseless well of abundance. And it's up to us to pay attention to the things we're saying repeatedly, the things that we feel are causing us stress and strain, and to begin to tell ourselves something different. Just flip it over. If you worried about your finances, begin saying, my finances are doing amazing. It's that simple. You know what I mean? And granted, at first we sometimes feel a little resistant, but it's like a game you play with yourself. Say it out loud. Feel the feeling of it. And you begin to feel the abundance that's within you begin to rise up. That doesn't mean that poof, your finances are miraculously changed. It's you're beginning to change. You're beginning to activate the abundance within you that will equip you to make your finances amazing. This is a process of becoming. So it's all about you. Recognize that you are the key, that you are the abundance, and be aware of the things you're saying and how they're making you feel. If the things you're saying are making you feel afraid, scared, then you have to reframe it and begin to speak life into yourself, over yourself. And you do that by just flipping over what you were saying. Call forth what you want, not what you don't want. And as we begin to do that, we begin to realize, wait a second, wow, I feel really good when I say that. That's because the abundance is inside you. So I definitely recommend you try that practice. It's very simple. It just takes you paying attention to yourself and how you feel when you think the things that you repeatedly think, or the areas of your life that you feel like something's missing in them. And so, yeah, that's it.
Absolutely to all that. And I do want to highlight, because LJ said it a lot, how you feel. How you feel does matter. Don't let nobody tell you different, because you got to feel it before you see it. So focus on how you feel every day, and that's where that true abundance will lie. So we reached our time. So as we all say, whether you've been on your journey for a while or you're just beginning your journey, know that there's always room for more self-discovery and personal growth. Y'all have a good one. Until next time.
Yes. Peace.